Hi, everyone, and welcome to On the Margins. My name is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey, founder and host of Let's Talk Supply Chain, here again with my sidekick.
Yeah.
Can I call you a sidekick?
Yeah, let's do it. Batman and Robin.
Batman.
Wingman.
Okay, Batman and Robin. I got it. Wingman. That's actually a really, really good one.
Okay, let's do it.
What movie does that go with?
It's Goose.
Right.
Top Gun.
A Top Gun. There it
on.
is. There it is. All right. With my wingman, MVK.
MVK, aka Goose. It probably shows that I'm a little older. Did I just reveal age here? Anyway,
You may have.
Great to be here, Sarah. Always a pleasure. Yeah, my name is Michael van Keulen, MVK. I've been with Coupa for 5 years. And yeah, just excited to be here as always, and let's go with it.
Yeah, so this episode was recorded a couple of months ago at Inspire, and lots of exciting things were happening. We had the supply chain experience that kicked off,
Yeah.
and a lot of leaders were able to connect and talk about product innovation, product vision, and I think it was an exciting time for the team, customers, new customers, potential customers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's just such a great opportunity to connect with the community and realize that, look, at the end of the day, whether you're in retail, FMCG, in financial, it doesn't matter. We're all trying to solve the same type of problems. And so
Yeah.
it's just always a good reminder that we're all in this thing together.
Absolutely. Now, in July, this is July, this is peak season, right? So what do you think about what's going to happen? If people paused manufacturing a few months ago, we might be in trouble for holiday.
Yeah, we could be. We could see some very similar situations as we saw during the very early start of the pandemic, where massive backlogs, clogging on ocean freight carriers, and yeah, we could be into some challenges in the supply chain for sure.
Yeah.
With a lot of backlog, to your point, and some similar challenges in Long Beach in California.
Yeah, let's hope not.
Hope not. Hopefully we've resolved this whole discussion in the next 30 days or so. That'd be nice.
Yeah, and ramp it back up, and not everybody has to ship everything
Yeah.
by air freight, because
Yeah.
we don't want that either.
No,
Right?
please
All right.
don't.
Well, it's time to talk about AI and process improvement with our guest today, Andrea. Andrea, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great.
I'm doing well.
So tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Andrea Casella, I'm responsible for Procure-to-Pay at Turo.
Awesome. And you two know each other, I think.
Just a little bit. You know, I actually said earlier already, but I'll do it again, Andrea. So I think I am the only person in the entire world that has ever been picked up by an Uber for free without paying for it. And actually, did I pay for lunch at the time?
You might have.
I think I paid. So I kind of paid for lunch to kind of compensate that it was a free Uber. But of course, you've been with Uber as well, another great Coupa customer. And,
Right.
But look, I've known you for years. This is long overdue. And so
How did
I'm
you
super.
meet?
It must have been at an Inspire.
We both speak Dutch, right?
And Dutch.
Whenever I heard that, I love to practice my Dutch. So
It's a language
connected.
flex.
yeah.
Love it.
Well, don't do that here, because we might not understand.
No, let's not do that. We'll
All
do
right.
that later.
I think you've got the first question for Andrea.
Oh, the first question was coming from me. So Andrea, one of the things, you've been in procurement supply chain for a very long period of time. But what are some of the biggest challenges that you're focusing on right now? And what are you working on?
Yeah, so I think the most interesting challenges is how do you completely get rid of manual work, right? Specifically, if you deep dive into the area of invoice to pay, right? Invoice processing, invoice troubleshooting, there's still a lot of manual work that gets done. And we're going through such a transformative period where AI can essentially be inserted in so many of these process steps that you want to do one thing is get in as quick as you can, right? So AI offers you the ability to transform that manual work into, a kind of a digital AI workforce, an actor that is able to extract and process the data on behalf of people. And, the human in the loop is not going anywhere soon. You still have the chance to validate the data. You still want to kind of make sure that it looks right, but there's also, great tools that offer you the confidence level. You're going to have 80% that is green, great, I'm not going to touch it. And then you're going to have some yellow and red where the human still intervenes and takes steps which will then help later down the road in preventing that.
Yeah, I
totally.
think it's just going to look a little bit differently how humans are going to interact with the technology and the AI. They say with technology comes 3 new jobs for humans. Right?
Well, I think history has shown that, right? I mean, we started using Excel. It's not like all of a sudden, no, we now had the power and the data and the ability to run, it just was an accelerator. And the same applies to, platforms like Source-to-Pay. Like now I no longer am stuck in trying to figure out where my spend is and who I'm spending with. And no, I have the data, take out the manual work, and I can drive more value.
Yeah, I just got to figure out the prompts. Like, I got to figure out what prompts to use, right? I think that's my downfall. Do you have an example that you can maybe share with us about how you're using AI and to help, improve some of your processes?
Well, it can be applicable to many. I think one that we're heavily investing in is the actual invoice processing, just because that's the biggest, it's a heavy transactional area. There's already a lot that can be done through the Coupa supplier portal, but that can't just cover everything. So that is one area that we're starting with. We're going and getting into also accounting area where recon and accruals could be could be done for those as well. And the opportunities are endless, even in the contract space, right? Contracts come in all kinds of sorts and forms, and if you have a way to synthesize that and make it a unique format where you have all your key data fields lined up and unified, it makes everything so much easier.
I got to figure that out. I read so many contracts, and I have to figure out how to use AI for that.
Okay.
For sure.
And the
we may know someone that can actually help you with that. Starts with a C. Spoiler. Good. So one of the things, Andrea, and of course, again, we've known each other and we've talked about so many different things over the years, but we also know that, the garbage in, garbage out concept applies. It applies today. It applied 10 years ago. And I think it will continue to apply. And we've always believed in the best data makes for the best AI. I think that the question is, and we heard Lee talk about it this morning as well, is we know AI is here. AI is going to fundamentally change us. But what are some of these gaps that you've seen, data quality, the struggles that you've had, and what are maybe some of the tips and tricks that you have to start resolving those?
Yeah, so I think data it's super important. You can't fix it if you can't measure it, right? So especially in large transactional volumes, you have very large data to deal with. You may have multiple entities, multiple transaction types. Just the fact of being able to produce signed off and accurate reporting is key. Reporting can be volume metrics, it can be cycle time, it can be performance, productivity metrics, it can be cost per transaction. All of them matter depending on what you're trying to measure. And most importantly, if you're running a project that is aiming at improving any of those KPIs, you just want to make sure that that gets tracked along the way to measure its success.
Totally.
So reliable data, easy to get data. Hopefully, dashboards that are live, that contain live data, are extremely important for decision making. And it helps you repivot if you see that you're trying to channel your procurement through some of the channels or your invoicing in others, and it's not working. Data will tell you where you have to repivot or re-strategize.
Yeah, and it's especially what you said, live, in the moment, accurate, reliable data versus what we used to do back in the olden days was analyze, look in the rearview mirror and go, well, that was not a good idea. And then by the time you want to react to that data, it's already outdated and you have to do it all over again, right? I mean, that's where really the power of technology, of course, comes into play.
You kind of want to make sure that it's certified data.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
I think the one challenge we may have, though, is if we bring in human bias to the data. Because the data can provide us with the outcomes, but if the human bias gets involved before we share that outcome with somebody else, and maybe we're not comfortable with it, that's what we have to be careful with, I think. Right? We've got to be able to teach our teams and our leaders to take our bias out and really trust the data that's coming through.
I agree. I think that data doesn't lie, but there's a story behind the numbers, and that narrative could make an impact.
Yeah. So talk to us about efficiency and optimization. What does that mean? Is it about cost? Is it about speed? Is it about risk? Maybe it's about compliance.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
I think it's all of them, really. Whenever I join a new company, I always like to assess where things are at, right? Transactionally, but also process-wise and availability of data. And I think we always should strive for best in class, right? And maybe you're not going to get there, or maybe that's the blue sky view. But just showing what best-in-class, top-performing organizations' KPI look like, it raises awareness. It provides to leadership a baseline that could be quite critical and say, like, we're not doing well at all in the maturity curve. This is where we strive to get to. And data helps with that. KPIs are extremely important. Because it helps you craft not just the very end state vision, but also what are the quick wins or the low-hanging fruits that you're going to address along the way, so that you, one, gain credibility, and two, you book some quick wins, and you actually show that you're doing and addressing the issues.
Yeah, and some of these are hard to quantify, right? Like the biggest challenge I've had in my entire career was how to explain to a CFO the cost of risk or the importance of risk.
Right.
And what's the value? Like, why are we talking about this?
Yeah, so I think cycle time is extremely important. Like, how are you approving your invoices on time, or are there delays? Any delay in invoice approval or service receipt confirmation could delay a payment, and then you've got suppliers that hit you with penalties. So there's up and downstream impact on cycle time only and alone. And I think the greatness of Coupa is that it offers you insights into the community, right? So how are you doing against your industry peers into that?
Yeah.
So
It's metrics don't lie, but it's sometimes quantifying them without the data is hard. And like I said, I've always struggled explaining to CFOs why it's important to have not single sourcing, but dual sourcing as an example. And
Right.
it's
Yeah.
not always easy because they're like, well, we just consolidate it and put it all under one roof and we get better pricing. I'm like, yeah, but if that factory burns down, knock on wood, where are we going to get our stuff from, right? Hey, so another question, and I know you've always been at the forefront of digital, but where do you see technology coming into play? What are some of the best practices? What are maybe some of the game changers, if you will, that you've seen? Like, how are you thinking about that?
Yeah, so I think it kind of ties back to your question before. One other measurement is definitely cost per transaction, right? So when we, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was a lot of manual or semi-manual processes that involved a lot of humans and a lot of cost.
Right.
And we live in such a transformative period where, technologies almost become redundant after a year. But essentially what they all do is technology is an enabler to do transactions faster, quicker, better, also hitting on compliance, right? And with waterproof workflows.
Right.
So I think technology is the enabler to allow you to process your transactions better, to have a better user experience. Ultimately, that increases your adoption. It increases compliance. You have internal satisfaction from your user base that is very tech savvy and wants the experience to be good. And you have suppliers, whom transactioning becomes cheaper, better, with greater visibility, and much more seamless.
Yeah. Well, and with all the information that's sort of coming at leaders today, you have to be able to digest the information, the news, right? The trends, what is coming up, how do you do that? You're going to have to use technology to be able to consume all of that content and ideas and breaking news and all that kind of stuff, especially right now, tariffs and all that kind of stuff. How do you stay on top of it? I don't know how people are doing it. One last question. What do you think is one thing leaders should sort of be thinking about or doing differently right now?
I think dare to take some of the risks and kind of dare to work more hands-free or at least low touch in transactioning. Again, the human is always in the loop. there's proven technologies that are at a fraction of a cost that replace, manual work. We're talking about allowing individuals to do more value-added activities and more strategic work. So it's an improvement from that as well. It's never too late to start. So I think there's that hesitation sometimes, right? Or another point is, if you have a catalog, an Amazon catalog, should I open it up to my organization? I think the answer is yes. You can always put filters and limits, or you can also assign it to one buying group. But just dare to apply, new technologies, of course, do the right, reference calls and understand how others are using it, but they could be truly game-changing.
Yeah, and it's like what you said, and we heard Lee talk about it this morning as well, is how do we get to do higher value work, right? How do we drive more value? Well, it is about innovation, it is about relationship, it is about category management, it is about those types of activities in procurement, but there's no way you're going to get there unless you got your foundation, right?
Yeah.
It sounds super basic, but that is still the ongoing challenge for us, and maybe not so much for ourselves, but it's how do we story tell this to an executive team. I literally just walked out of a meeting where I literally talked about exactly what I just said, and so it's spot on, well said.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and also digital transformation is only 20% technology.
Oh, absolutely.
80% is the story, right? It's the change management.
That's true.
It's how are we going to talk about this and move forward as a team using the technology as a tool.
Yeah. It's like buying a car and leaving it on the parking lot. Terrible idea.
Terrible idea.
You got to use it, right?
Absolutely, because otherwise you're going to be left behind or left in the parking lot.
Which is probably not a good idea.
Definitely not a good idea. Well, Andrea, thank you so much for joining us here for On the Margins.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
And now it's time for trivia. So get your answers ready, put them in the comments, and you can win a pickleball set from Coupa. And I can't wait to see this month's winner.